Just a friendly reminder. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's a little bit, yeah, I think I updated my software and the Zoom, and it's kind of like now announces like this meeting is like, so yeah, thank you for that. Now, um, see the Guru mantra. I know some of you don't want to like say it loud, which is fine, but it is really important for any Jyotishi to begin with the Guru mantra or even the Ganesh mantra, anything, but you have to begin with a mantra. And the beauty about the Guru mantra is that 12 times, like the 12 signs it covers, which is kind of very helpful, you know. So today we examine we what I'm going to do is, last week we did the Karakamsha, right? We've been like doing it Karakamsha in all the various houses. I'm going to whiz through this because there's so much that we will not be able to cover the yogas, and you know, and yogas again is a very vast topic. I cannot cover everything, all the yogas. You know, maybe when we begin in October, like for the intermediate batch, I will be doing sort of more in depth, for sure, you know. So last time we saw the Ātmakāraka, which is a Karakamsha in the second house. I think we touched upon it. The native is a renunciate, possibly even a saint. If other criteria conditions apply, Saturn is a Karaka of the 12th house, and that indicates the path of either a sannyasi, a formal renunciate, or someone who gives charity for humanitarian purposes. If Venus is strong, and especially if Ketu and Saturn join or mutually aspect Venus, then the native performs tapasya or yogic austerities. Now, we have discussed quite a lot about the Venus Ketu Shani yoga. You know, the Venus Ketu Saturn yoga is literally, it's called the tapas yoga or tapaswi yoga. And it is extremely powerful because wherever it is in the chart, whether it is in the Rashi chart or in the Navamsa chart, and ideally great yogis and great you know, have an aspect of it in both, you know. So wherever that is, that in itself will get you to do a very very strong tap. It's like a sadhana, like a real austere practice. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to give up everything and go to the mountains and stay there. That's not what it really, the ethos of this particular tapasvi yoga is, that you are compelled to dedicate your you know, your life towards a very single, a very strong single humanitarian purpose. Now that could well be that you may set up charity, or you can set up like some kind of um, you know, like a institution, or you know, or you could be very focused on sort of upliftment of a certain sect of society. It can encompass n number of things, but one thing is guaranteed, that this yoga will take precedence over a lot of other aspects, and it will give you a single minded kind of determination. And Venus is the karaka for, it gives you the mrutyunjay. It's the karaka for, you know, the mahamrutyunjay mantra was given to from Lord Shiva to Shukracharya. Now there are many stories, many variants in that, but this is a very very strong sort of thread or a variant. And Ketu is that sutra, that mantra that is given, and Shani stands for the tapasya, you know, the very strong austerity discipline that you need. So when these three get together, you know, because the Venus is also very strong in terms of the dedication, you know, in terms of the love, the bhakti, as they call it in you know, all in all the streams, bhakti is like a devotion. So Venus will give you that, Ketu will give you the single minded, you know, no deviation, like a focus, laser beam focus, you know. And so much so that you will completely, Ketu is headless, basically it's like you will just lose your head and you will do just one thing, you know. And Saturn will give you that dedication, that austere discipline which is needed to fulfill any task. So when these three combine, it's a phenomenal power behind that this particular combination. And that is why when you have the Ātmakāraka in the second house, or rather the Karakamsha in the second house from the Navamsa Lagna, that means if you take the Navamsa Lagna, it is in the second house. Second house is Venus is the Karaka for the second. And then if Saturn gets involved, Saturn is, because from the Karakamsha, it is the 12th, the Navamsa Lagna is the 12th. So the Karaka for that is Saturn. And 12th Karaka, remember we said the natural, the Naisargika Karaka for the 12th house is Ketu as well. Remember we said that? So that means these three people or three heavyweights are getting involved: Venus, Ketu, and Shani. So it's a very strong 12th house energy. And this is very auspicious for somebody who is kind of like Swami Vivekananda, and a lot of the other great saints have this yoga. I'm not sure about Swami Vivekananda, but he certainly had this particular aspect. That is, he had the Karakamsha, which is Surya in Sagittarius, Vargottama, in his Navamsa chart in the second house. So Scorpio Lagna with Jupiter in Scorpio, that was his Navamsa Lagna. And the second house was, Surya, which is what his Karakamsha is, in Sagittarius, Vargottama. So he certainly exhibited all these three qualities. So even if you may not have a direct aspect of Venus, Ketu, Saturn, but if your Karakamsha is in the second house from Navamsa Lagna, these three will invariably get involved, and it will lead to a very strong, deep spiritual purpose that you will be devoted to. Yeah? Is everybody clear on that?
Sonal, may I ask you something?
Yeah.
To clarify, when the sutra says mutually aspected, means then can be Venus and Ketu aspected by Saturn, or Venus and Saturn aspected by Ketu, so in different houses. For example, I have an example. I know somebody chart with Venus and Ketu in the 12th and Saturn in the 10th. So
Yeah,
because Saturn aspect with fair aspect of Saturn and Venus and Ketu are conjoined, could you still consider a tapasya yoga?
Yeah, it is a tapasya yoga, but Saturn is graha drishti, and what you're looking for is ideally you want like not just a graha drishti, you want like a rashi drishti, which is like permanent,
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
But
Okay.
yeah, it is kind of to an extent it will have sorry, to an extent it will have that flavor. But you also want to see other factors, that how it's doing, whether it's in the D1 or the D9. If it is in the D9, then for sure, there will be a strong element of that. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
if you examine, this is Swami Vivekananda chart. We've done his chart so many times. That's his Ātmakāraka, Surya in Lagna, in the Rashi chart. And then we come here, Scorpio Lagna, Jupiter, Navamsa Lagna, and the sun is in Sagittarius, Vargottama, as you can see. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So it is in the second, and we know that he was instrumental in bringing about, all the Ramakrishna mission, mutts, and all the ashrams. So he was single-minded in his dedication. Oops, I think I've got a tickle. Anyway, is everybody clear on that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Ātmakāraka in the third bhava, that means third from the Karakamsha. So in Lagna is 11th from Ātmakāraka. So the native may have very high social contacts, be popular and influential, wealthy, successful in many undertakings. He has friends among powerful and successful persons. So this is a very strong one as well. It's very positive. Lagna in the 11th house from the Karakamsha. Yeah. I don't have examples. My suggestion to all of you is, and this is a little bit of homework, please find me one chart for each one of them. You know, even if it is within your friends or family, or you know, or celebrity or somebody, you know, all of that is fine, but just find me a chart with one, at least one of these, you know, just pick a few and then see how far you get. Yeah. If the Ātmakāraka is in the fourth house, then the native's work is essential contributor to the successful performance of dharma. The strength of various karakas of 10th indicates avenues through which the karma is performed. If Mercury, Jupiter are strong, then he is benevolent, well linked, and moves in variety of circles. If the sun is strong, the native enjoys the effects of Raj Yoga. If Saturn is strong, he purges the results of past sins by hard work and sacrifice. So the Atmakaraka in the fourth house from Navamsa Lagna will be a karma yogi. If the moon and Jupiter are strong, he will have fame. Whereas if sun is strong, Raj Yoga, and a strong Saturn indicates a hardworking person. So you see, if the Atmakaraka is in the fourth house from the Navamsha Lagna, you have to examine the moon and Jupiter in the chart. That is in the Navamsha as well as in the D1, because you want them to be strong. Remember, the Karaka of the fourth house is the moon, so you want it to be strong. And similarly, you know, if Saturn is strong, then it is a hardworking person naturally, because Saturn is the Karaka for the 10th house. Also, and it's, if you have Atmakaraka in the fourth house, it's aspecting the 10th house. So, and again, the fifth house is also very auspicious. If Atmakaraka is in the fifth, the native is dharma parayan, that is obeys the laws of his dharma diligently, straight and is straightforward. If sun is strong, he shall have many good yogas. Blessings of his father will always protect him. So this is, like I said, it's very auspicious. 159 is brilliant, as we will go along and see. Now the biggest problem in the Navamsha is, and I would always encourage you, all of you, to really note this. If the Atmakaraka in the Navamsha, that is in the Karakamsha, is in the sixth house or the eighth house, it's really a little bit of a problem. And when I say little bit, I'm making a kind of like a bit of an understatement here, because it is a problem. If Atmakaraka is in the second house, the native is diseased and troubled. Now, in my view, you know, it is much better for the Atmakaraka in the Rashi chart to be maybe in the sixth house or the eighth house. But if the Atmakaraka is in the D9, in the Navamsh, in the sixth and the eighth, it's a big problem. It's a much bigger problem. And then you have to propitiate as per Saturn, because remember, the Karaka for the sixth and the eighth is, for especially for the sixth, I know the Karaka is Mars, but when it comes to diseases, it is Saturn. And so if you have Karakamsha in the eighth or the sixth or the eighth, then Saturn or Lord Saturn, you have to propitiate and appease, and Lord Satyanarayan Puja or Vrata, which is called the fasting on full moon days, and speak the truth. Satya means the truth, and Narayana is, we all know Narayan. It's a Vishnu, another name for Vishnu. It's very, very strong. Satya Narayan Vrat and Puja is very popular, very, it can be done by all. It's not so much of a problem. And even the desire to like maintain purity and speak the truth, because the speech is like the first thing, which can kind of create problems if you have these kind of placements, that is karakamsha in the sixth or the eighth. So bear in mind, you need to appease the karaka. Basically, that is what Parashara is telling us, So be very careful, be very gentle, because it is a very difficult placement if the Karakamsha in the D9 is in the sixth house. They will have some kind of, health issues, and mental health issues are also a problem. Please to note, mental dementia and all of that will also can be worked out from these placements. Then we have the Ātmakāraka in the seventh house. Superb. The native is blessed with clean heart, many joys. If the Venus is strong, marriage will be a great blessing, because Venus is a Karaka for the seventh house. That is normal, natural. So we need to examine the Karaka of these yogas when they do happen, Okay, so now we come again to the eighth house, which is similar in flavor to the sixth house. The results are similar. Native may confront vexing problems which are difficult to resolve. Sense of lack of direction in life is indicated. There are feelings of loss and not going anywhere, and inability to know oneself. This is my commentary, by the way, because this is what I have noticed, that these people feel a little bit lost. They don't know what their real purpose, their real karma is. They kind of struggle with that for years on end, until they come to maybe like a Vedic astrologer who can kind of guide them to do something, and to sort of pinpoint where their problem areas are. So please watch out, because eighth house and eighth lord in the Navamsa chart, we already did this. D9 chart, the eighth lord is a disaster. He is not a he's not he's not on your side. Okay, he is going to give you problems, and the eighth house is heavy karma there. You cannot escape it this lifetime. You cannot. We have done this. And so if you have Ātmakāraka in the eighth, it's like you're never gonna, it's a disaster, because only because you have to really watch very carefully what the problems are, and you have to really make a huge effort to sort it, and it is not easy to sort, it is fraught with, as they say, vexing problems, that you have to keep coming up with, encounter problems all the time. Physical ailments, challenging longevity, because eighth house is also longevity. In addition to emotional and domestic discontinuities may be problematic for such natives. Recitation of the Mahamantra. We know the Mahamantra, right? Yes?
No, we don't. I don't know it at least.
It's a Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Rama Krishna.
Okay, yes.
Okay? If I will put it Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Do you guys not know? Okay, I will just put it on the Telegram group.
Yes, please. That would
Okay.
be great.
Yeah, I will put a very nice chant. Then you can sing along to it. It is superb. It's sung by 9 little girls, and it's like a very nice sing along. But the Mahamantra is like, it's got great powers, the Mahamantra. And the shorter version of the Mahamantra is Hare Rama Krishna, which is what the tradition I come from. That's their standard kind of like the tradition mantra for the tradition. So the Vedic tradition I follow, the Hare Ram Krishna is their great mantra. So use that, or the 16 syllable Mahamantra is also great. So I would strongly recommend that. And then there's a Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram, which is also fantastic. I will put this also in the Telegram group. So please feel free to listen and to follow and have a like a little sadhana, like a little practice in the morning to just chant and listen to these things, because they will make a remarkable difference. Okay.
And how many times should we chant it? 108 or?
Yeah, at least that's minimum. At the Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram, because it's a stotra, you can just chant along once or maybe twice. That's not, because it's like many verses. But the Mahamantra, you can kind of, I think, do one mala at least, or Hare Ram Krishna, you can do like a couple of malas. Definitely one in waking up in the morning is very beautiful, very peaceful. It will set up the tone for the day. So that is my recommendation. Rest is all up to you, but it will make a difference. And anyway, given the fact that we are all in lockdown, it's like, even when we go out to work, it's kind of all very restrictive. I think this will help to alleviate some of the the anxieties and problems. So um the Satyanarayan Vrat is ultimately very beneficial. See, Satyanarayan Vrat, I can find out more about it. This is a very, very powerful vrata, but it also needs to be done after like a little homam and a puja, and so it's very, very beneficial. The native also try to practice truthfulness and straightforwardness in all dealings. That's of course because the eighth house is involved. Eighth houses, you don't want to accrue more negative karma. That is the main thing. The eighth lord in the D9 is kind of, I mean, the eighth lord in the D1 will actually kind of give you a lot of problems, lot of discomfort, as we will see later. But in the D9, it will actually wreck your happiness. It will wreck everything. So you have to be very, very careful with that. Now,
I have a question.
yes.
You said that you have to appease the Karaka. So I guess that's for the 6th and for the 8th.
Yes.
So the Karaka in the 6th would be Mars, and in the 8th it's Saturn, right?
If you see, I mentioned, yes, it's indeed true for the 8th, but for the 6th, we will take Saturn as well. Because remember, Ingrid, that we have two Karakas for the 6th house. One is Mars and one is Saturn. But the thing is, here we are talking about diseases. When we are talking of diseases and obstacles and troubles, then we are talking about Saturn.
All right.
And when we talk of the 6th house in terms of conflict, in terms of fighting, and in terms of like, getting beaten and, court cases and all of that, then we look at the Karaka as Mars.
Okay.
Okay. So it's quite simple. It's not complicated. You have to just remember, when you work with multiple Karakas, sometimes it's quite clear. It's you just have to remember that what is the fundamental nature of the planet, and then you will come to know what the problem is. Because remember, Mars is the Karaka for the 3rd house. The 3rd house is like mental conflict and our desires and stuff like that, which create problems and mental conflicts and and fight. It is the 3rd house is the house of bravery, the house of courage, and when we talk of courage, it's always Mars is involved. He's ready to fight. So when we are talking of fighting and conflict, then we are talking of Mars is a Karaka for the 6th house. But when we are talking of diseases, then it's definitely Shani.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So the 9th house, if then Ātmakāraka is in the 9th, then the native is very pious and is wealthy and fortunate. The 9th house position of Ātmakāraka Lagna in the 5th from Ātmakāraka is the most auspicious and brings in full results of bhagya, fortune to the native. A powerful sun brings Raj Yoga and enables the native to be very influential in educational and spiritual circles. If Jupiter is powerful, then the native becomes a guru in his own right after receiving the blessings of self realized souls or those advanced in higher knowledge. Materially speaking, such a native has no concerns in this world. Right. Now, Richard Branson by no means is, you know, s- spiritually realized or on his way to being spiritually realized, but he is indeed very influential and he has certainly no concerns in the world, materially speaking. That is for sure. Yeah. Is everybody okay with that? So if we examine his Ātmakāraka, where is his Ātmakāraka? That's in the third house in the Rashi chart. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ma-
And it's with
Mars,
Ketu.
yes.
Yeah, it's very strong. You know, Mars in later we will learn that Mars in Virgo is a very tough placement. It's like very strong placement for Mars. Very, very strong. And so Mars is with Ketu, which is fantastic in the third house, you know. But it is where is it in? Yeah, it is in that beautiful ninth house in from the Lagnamsha in the Navamsa chart. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you see? This is
And
the
he's in
Lagna
He's in
here.
Leo. Yes, he's in Leo. Sorry.
Yeah, it's the chart, not Leo. Yeah, it's sorry. Yeah, it is in Leo, and it is
Leo.
from Sagittarius. It is in the ninth house, and from Leo, the Navamsha Lagna is the fifth house. So he is indeed very fortunate. Absolutely, no two ways about it. You know, I mean, he's created an empire. Absolutely phenomenal. And later we can see that what all aspects are there on the Karakamsha. You know, there's many aspects on the Karakamsha. The Navamsha Lagna is also Lagna Lord is Jupiter, and that is aspecting the Mars, even though Jupiter is in Marana, but that doesn't matter because the Navamsha Lagna is ruled by Jupiter, you know, so that's kind of quite favorable. Yeah.
Mm, mm.
And he will have the support of the people because of the moon, though in terms of relationships, because it's in the seventh house in Navamsha, it will be fluctuating. So it is going to be a problem. But this is a very powerful placement, extremely so. Yeah.
Yep.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now I have a quick question.
Yeah.
But in D9, Mars is in the ninth house. So does it also affect his relations with his father, or it is only about spirituality?
I would, yeah, up till a point, it is in Leo. So yeah, indeed, it is, you know, and the sun is in the eighth house. So I think there may be anyway issues with the father
Yeah,
because the
that's why
sun
I
is a
asked you.
karaka for the father, sthira karaka, that is a fixed karaka. Remember, did we do the fixed karaka and the
Yes.
charaka? We did, right? So the
Yes.
sun by default is a fixed karaka. That is, it's sthira. That is, you know, you can't, for everyone, sun will in some way, shape or form will depict the father. So here the sun is in the 8th house from the Navamsa Lagna. So there is almost like some kind of karmic stuff going on. And plus, if you examine from the Karakamsha, if you look at from the Karakamsha Lagna in his D9, and then it is in Leo, and the sun, the ruler of that, because if you read the chart from the Karakamsha Lagna, is in Marana. The sun is in the 12th house in Marana. So, but, and it is for better or for worse. And why do I say that? Because the sun is Vargottama. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, in Cancer, yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
remember what I said when sun is Vargottama. It is very strong, whether it is an Ātmakāraka or not, it doesn't matter. But Vargottama planets have huge strength. They have huge blessings. So basically, even though the blessing may come from the father and stuff like that, but there's also a lot of karma involved with the father because it's in the 8th house.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Yeah. And there's also another problem. The 8th lord is never the 8th lord is problematic. So if you examine the Navamsa, now I'm getting into a little bit of an advanced territory here. The 8th lord, if you see, is what is the 8th lord, guys? Come on.
Yes, sun.
Hmm?
Sun. No. It's moon.
The moon.
Yeah, moon. And the moon is going to always give him problems in marriage because the moon is in the 7th house in the D9 chart. So I don't know. I think he has had problems, hasn't he? I don't know his personal life, but that's not the main point. The moon also can indicate, problems with the mother. And he was also born in the Tithi of Chaturthi, if I'm not mistaken. I can barely see this. Can everybody see this? Chaturthi?
Yeah, Chaturthi, yes.
So when you're born under Chaturthi, the moon becomes quite problematic. Okay. So because the Chaturthi Tithi is ruled by the lord of it is Mercury, and Mercury doesn't like the moon at all. So the moon is going to be a problem for him. So, and Tithi is to do with our, how much water, how much of feeling, how much of relationship we can hold within ourselves. And so it's a problem that Tithi is, it's kind of, that moon is going to be a problem. And if you examine his Rashi chart, the moon is with Saturn. So I wouldn't want to be personally involved with him in under any circumstances, but he's a great leader. The sun is fantastic, the sun in Cancer is Vargottama. And so he's like a great leader and fabulous. But he also has a great Raj Yoga, which we will come to later, is when there is, if you see, there is a parivartana of the sun and the moon. Can you see that? Guys, come on. Can you
Yes,
see a
yes, we can.
parivartana between the sun and the moon in the Rashi
Yes.
chart? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
there are two parivartana.
What, like with the sun and the moon? Sorry, go on.
Well, the sun and the moon,
And the Jupiter and
the
Rahu.
Jupiter and Rahu.
Yeah. But the big Raj Yoga is definitely coming from the sun and the moon. Because that's like the real wealth thing going on there. This of course also is a part of the I'm not saying part of Raj Yoga, but it is also going to give him a Raj Yoga, when the for Cancer Lagna, if you have Jupiter in the 8th house, that is a Raj Yoga, even though the Lord of the 9th house has gone in the 8th house, which Parashara says is like terrible. It's not good, because at some point you will really harm the dharma and things like that. But because here it is not just in an exchange, but here for Cancer Lagna, he's made an exception, you know. So Jupiter in the 8th actually is a very good Raj Yoga for in the 8th house for Cancer Lagna. So you have to remember a little bit of those exceptions, guys, you know. So but anyway, like I said, this is a little bit going on the advanced bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me, did we have this exception already? Did we learn that somewhere?
No,
Or
no.
Okay.
Sorry,
And,
Ingrid, I apologize. I know.
yeah, I was just like, oh, okay, maybe I
No.
something.
We haven't learned that.
Okay.
That we will do that in the intermediate class, because
Okay.
these are quite you know, detailed, you know, sort of there are some exceptions, and yeah.
And what does it mean when Saturn and Moon are together?
Yeah, so I was about to say that, wasn't I? Saturn and Moon it's not a very nice combination in my view, especially for a man. It can be a little bit problematic in terms of emotions. I hope I don't get this is going on YouTube, guys. I cannot say that, but Saturn and Moon is a tough placement. Okay, it's a really difficult placement, because it's Moon is our mind, our psyche, our, you know, our heart, really, because it's a natural karaka for the 4th house. And so if you have the Moon with Saturn, it's very tough, you know. But of course, it also depends on what sign it is and all that. But I would say, by and large, it's a very difficult placement. The conjunction, especially for a man, because it's very difficult to relate with, you know, a person like that. But having said that, you know, if you have an aspect of Saturn on the Moon, it can also give you a little bit of depression and a little bit of that kind of a thing. But the thing is, he has escaped that a little bit because the Moon is in Parivartana with the Sun. So then that opens another yoga, the Sun Saturn yoga, which is a Pitri Dosh. The father, you know, that's a big thing with the father going on. So earlier somebody asked me about the father, right? Was it Oksana you asked me?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So here then it becomes like a Pitri dosh. But again, you know what? We will not do Parivartana. You know, Parivartana, there are many levels to Parivartana yoga. That is, it's sort of like, there are many layers to Parivartana. You know, we cannot just say, okay, you know, it's not as straightforward. So let's just keep an open mind and don't sort of think like, oh gosh, it has to be only this way, and why isn't it working then, you know, because there are many nuances to Parivartana. Yeah.
But in this case, is it like Sun goes in the 2nd house and Moon goes into the 1st house?
Yeah.
And so this way Saturn is no longer with the Moon.
Yeah. But then we have the problem, because then does the Lagna change? Because then that's another question is arising. Then does that mean that the Lagna becomes Leo, or, you know, the whole Lagna shifts with Sun and Saturn there, and Moon and Mercury in, you know, in the sign of Cancer. So again, like I said, it's a little bit tricky, you know, between these two, because it could well be that, you know, that only the signs shift. If only the signs shift, then that's even more powerful. Then he actually is less of a Cancer Lagna, and then he becomes the Sun and Mercury in Leo in the Lagna. How fantastic is that?
Okay, but I thought that this only happens when the Ātmakāraka is involved.
Yes, of course. Ātmakāraka doesn't shift that easily and readily. Absolutely. You're right. But when it comes to Lagna, also there are a few exceptions. Okay. So
Okay.
please, like I said, there are many, many, many levels to it. Do
Okay.
not, jump and say, okay, this is not working. This is, doesn't work like that. Everything works in Jyotish. We just have to find a way of understanding the nuances and picking up the nuances of what works when.
Okay.
Because Parivartana is a very powerful yoga, very powerful. If you see, even if I take the Cancer as in like the sign swapping, if I take Moon and Shani as being in Cancer, it's in the second house. Saturn will give him in Cancer is a big Raj Yoga, like huge. Just Saturn, anyone with Saturn in Cancer is a massive Raj Yoga by itself. And then we have in combination the Sun, Lagna Lord in Leo, Sun in Leo. Then we have this ninth Lord, Jupiter, which is a very benefic. It's in the 8th house. So all these add up, So, like I said, there are many layers to it, guys. We are just kind of about to scratch the surface here. Okay, if Ātmakāraka is in the 10th house, then the happiness through family, home, mother are well earned. Blessings through assets and property accrue, as well as respect, love through close allies, associates. The degree to which the results manifest depends on the strength, placement, association of the moon in Navamsa. The native is blessed with clean heart and good home. He should be the pillar, or he shall be the pillar of his family and mother. Moon in strength shall be an added blessing for this. And the Ātmakāraka is in the 10th house, Lagna in 4th from, hang on a minute. Yeah, 4th from Ātmakāraka. Then the happiness from family, home, mother are well earned. Blessings through assets, property accrue. So this is, he's talking about, if you have Ātmakāraka in the 10th, obviously, then the Navamsa Lagna is from to 4th from the Karakamsha, which is all the 4th is, that means the moon is involved because he's a Karaka of the 4th house. So obviously he has to have a clean heart, good home, beautiful home. It's all about relationships. The focus is business relationships because it's the 10th house, it's home, the moon, associates, allies. This is all like very nice placements. The degree to which such results manifest depends on the strength, placement, and association of moon in Navamsa chart. That is for sure. And earlier, we saw something here. If I wanted to show you something. Oh, sorry. It's in the chart of Richard Branson. If you guys noticed here, this is not, even though Mars is, examine his planets in the 10th house in Navamsa. Can somebody see this? He's got an exalted, that's the D1. Mercury and Rahu, an exalted Mercury in the
Rahu
10th.
in Mula Trikona.
Yes, absolutely. So that Mercury is very powerful in the 10th house. Absolutely fabulous Mercury, and that is why he's made such a big killing. Now, of course, he would have made some kind of losses as well, but because Rahu is in its own Mul Trikona, so, it's kind of overcoming some of the negativity of that. And also because Rahu is in Mul Trikona, the results will be given by that exalted Mercury, very, very strong Mercury, in the 10th. Remember what I said, benefics in the 10th house in Navamsa. Give me the money, show me the money. That's what it is. Just do that thing which will give you money and it'll come flooding in. And of course, it has come flooding in for Richard Branson.
But excuse me, but
Yeah.
the Mercury is not together with benefics here. Neither in the D1 nor in the D9.
What do you mean benefics?
Well,
But Mercury itself is a benefic in the 10th house, though.
I thought only if it's with benefics. Mercury is only benefic if it's with benefics.
Yes, but obviously he has kind of but Mercury is exalted, so I would consider it as benefic.
Okay.
And even though Rahu is, you're correct, Rahu is malefic, but it's in its own sign here, you know.
Okay.
And so that is that's kind of overcomes that. And plus again, remember the parivartana makes the difference. The moon in its own sign in the lagna comes in. If we take that, then that becomes very powerful. Remember we said that?
Yeah, and then he has a benefic with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And also Mercury is in Digbal here. You know, Mercury is in Cancer in great strength here.
Mhm.
Because Mercury in the, remember Jupiter and Mercury is in Digbal in the first house. Remember that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. So like I said, there are many nuances as we go, you know. Some answers you will get, some you will have to just kind of park them and then wait, and the things will start to open up. So we did that. The 11th house, this is a chart of Mimi Farina. She was John Bay's sister who died at like quite young. And she obviously has her, where's her Ātmakāraka? It's in the exalted in Rashi chart in the 4th house. Venus is Ātmakāraka.
Exalted.
And it's in the 11th house. Now she was it was quite tragic for her, huh? I don't know if anybody is aware of it, but she was 3 of the sisters, and she was the youngest and a very talented musician. And she was married to, there's a big age difference between her husband, Richard Farina, who died on her 21st birthday on a motorbike accident while he was coming back, going to meet her, you know, for the party, and in California. And they both had signed up with a very big music label company for about a period for like 3-4 albums and things like that. So they both were doing brilliantly. And she's a singer songwriter, absolutely fantastic. And she was obviously devastated, you know, that her husband passed away on a motorbike accident. I mean, at the age of 21, if that happens, it's quite tragic. Now, I have a little bit rectified her chart. If you notice, that she was Scorpio Lagna, but think about it. If I moved it by a few minutes, see Rahu Shani in the 7th house. Rahu Shani will often give you problems. It's like wherever Rahu Shani is, you know, that particular conjunction will, it's like a dosh, it's like a Shraddha yoga. In the Indian context, it's called the Shraddha yoga. Shraddha literally means when somebody passes away, you know, they die. And then, you know, the sort of atmosphere ensues as if you are on a cemetery, like on a funeral. And that is called the Shraddha. And there are a lot of Shraddha. The word Shraddha is a Sanskrit word. It literally means that what you need to give when somebody has passed away. And it's like, you know, you give offerings and you do the rituals and things like that. But it's a very depressing time as well. You know, it's kind of like you feel detached, you feel depressed, you feel despondent, and that is the energy of Rahu and Shani. And in Vedic there's a very classic dictum, and I think it's probably even a Jaimini Sutra, like Shani vat Rahu, that is Shani is like Rahu, and Ketu vat Mangal. So Ketu and Mangal have similar energies, and Rahu and Shani, of course, both of them are Vayu Tattva, that is air planets, very strong air link between them. And they both are in great strength. They are in Digbal. If you see Rahu and Shani are in Digbal, but think about it, it still is in its forms Shraddha Yoga. And plus Rahu is exalted. So of course her husband was her first, she's got like a kind of a very amazing, like, wow, it will open up vistas every time she goes into a relationship. But because it's Shani, even though it's in Digbal, it was very difficult, so he just died, and I don't think she ever got over him. And she died at a very young age of, I think, 56 or so. So, and if you see her Navamsa Lagna, it is moon there. And so, of course, she was a singer. She started singing at a very, very young age and composing and things like that. So, this is a definitive, this is, as you can see, it really speaks, doesn't it? To her personality and the way she was. And Venus is the Ātmakāraka. And if you notice, it is with Venus is with Mercury and Shani. So that can be a little bit depressing too. Is everybody getting this?
Right now, I'm a little bit confused because we are not talking about Joan Bess. We are talking about her sister.
Yeah.
Did she sing as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was the youngest of the three sisters, and Joan Baez was the eldest. And they all she was herself quite a singer in her own right, and very talented. So, and they did work together, and finally she went into, after the tragedy of her husband, she went into a big time like humanitarian things. And she Bread and Roses, a charity she organized which had humanitarian concerns and things like that. But she did die at a very young age. So essentially what I'm saying is that she herself was very talented. But if you examine her 11th house, that's where her Karakamsha is. And so here we see that he has the ability to solve problems quickly, to act decisively in crisis situations, and possess firmness of mind and unwavering determination in the performance of duties. And so the native is admired by others due to valor and fearlessness. So she was very, very, like I said, she came up with this idea of Bread and Roses charity. That's what it's called, even after the tragedy. So it's kind of rather sad, but obviously she managed to make a lot out of it, because it's quite famous. I think it still continues to this day. So yeah, so this is interesting that this is what this is one of the charts that I could find. But essentially I was getting everybody to focus on this Rahu Shani problem. Yeah. Okay, and there's also another problem with it, which again, like I said, it's way beyond, but its moon is in absolute, it's 0 degrees. It's on Gandanta point.
Yes.
It's in Mula Nakshatra, you see. You don't want you don't want ideally any planet in 0 degrees, especially in Mula.
The ascendant as well. Also,
Yeah.
the ascendant is a 0 degree. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's karmically a little bit tough though. Okay, Ātmakāraka in the 12th.
Also,
Yeah.
Sonal, I don't know if I heard correctly that it would be desirable not to have any planet in Aquarius Navamsa,
Yes.
in
Well
Scorpio Aquarius
spotted.
Navamsa,
Absolutely.
and she's got 3 planets and the Ātmakāraka as well on the in Aquarius.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, you really don't want Aquarius. Ideally, you don't want in any of the Varga charts, you don't want Aquarius, you don't want Scorpio. And if you have it, then it is going to give you a little bit of grief, not little bit. It is going to be, you will feel the loss and pain in that, With Scorpio, it will be like a poison that will just kind of flow out. And with Aquarius, you will just have to, there will be loss and you'll be forced to give things up, which is what happened, because Venus is the Karaka, it's her Ātmakāraka, but Venus by it is actually a Karaka for spouse, 7th house matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Tough. Anyway, the final one, if Ātmakāraka is in the 12th house, the native is very rich, blessed by Lakshmi. And if the Ātmakāraka is in the 12th house, obviously from the Karakam, Navamsa Lagna, then the native easily attains wealth as a result of the blessings of Lakshmi Devi, the consort of Vishnu. Now here we did, I don't know, the Srinivas Ramanujan, and he has Mercury Ātmakāraka, and we did this last time, and it's in the 12th house, which I thought is quite apt because he was hugely, all his epiphanies and all his mathematics that came to him, he often said it came to him from the goddess, and and that is the blessings of Lakshmi, which is what he always maintained. So that is indeed the blessing that has come for him. Yeah. Anyway, so this is one big chunk of the yogas that we are going to do. Okay. This is the Brihat Parashara.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Can I have a quick question? Could you show the 5th house really quickly before you move on to this? I missed the 5th house, the 5th house one.
The
No, the 5th house, the 5th house. Oh, yes. Yeah, I missed that one. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at that.
Yeah. It'll be there on YouTube, so no worries.
Okay, thank you.
So, okay. Now, before we begin anything, I have to say one of the core yogas, because there are many yogas. There are Daridra yoga, that is poverty yogas. There are Raj yogas. There are Yogakarakas. There are, if I show you a later slide, the Parashara talks about, here we go. This is from one chapter. He talks about, excellent Brahmins. He's explained below 32 Nabhas yogas, which have a total of 1800 different kinds. That is different permutations and combinations, consisting of 3 Ashraya yogas, 2 Dala yogas, 20 Akriti yogas, and 7 Sankhya yogas. So we are talking here of a huge number of combinations here. And these yogas are just one chapter. I haven't even gone into the yogas of from the Karakamsha yoga in depth. I haven't even gone into the Raj yogas yet, right? So yogas is a huge topic, I'm afraid. And, but it is really good to remember some core things, because those cores are like fundamentals, and out of which this is an absolute fundamental. And this is to do with the lordship of planets, that is benefics owning kendras. benefic owning kendras will not give benefic effects, while malefics owning kendras will not remain inauspicious. Now, this is a very good way of saying will not remain inauspicious. That means it can go both ways. That means they will not give you too much of problems. Now, this is a vast thing, okay? This whole statement, it sounds like okay, but we will unpick this as we go along. So please don't get like, oh my God, don't get too kind of one dimensional or two dimensional in your thinking that it has to work like this and nothing else, because it is very, there are many factors that we have to examine when we talk about this, okay? And then the core, but you have to remember, and the core is that if you have a kendra which is which is ruled by a benefic, then he may not always give you a good result, okay? No matter where it is placed, okay? And the other part two of that, the reversal of that is if you have a kendra which is owned by a malefic planet, then he may not necessarily give you too much of trouble either, okay? So it's not like he'll be like, oh, fantastic, he owns a kendra, superb, okay? Now, for example, and we will do loads of examples because I will do this for the next couple of sessions. So, for example, simple thing, okay? Think about Libra Lagna, okay? Or for that matter, even Taurus Lagna, okay? For Taurus Lagna, the the fourth house is a malefic, right? As is the fifth house. Okay, guys, let me show you. Oh, hang on one sec. Let me see if I have other examples of a Taurus Lagna or. Okay, now why do I have so many examples of? Okay, oops. Okay, this is Amachi, okay, Libra Lagna. Let's take Libra, okay? Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I meant for Libra, the fourth house is, I beg your pardon. The fourth house is Capricorn, right? Which is ruled by Saturn, which is malefic, natural malefic, yeah? And the fifth house is also ruled by Saturn and Rahu, right? So ideally, you would say that, hey, because Saturn is a malefic, then it's a disaster, it's not good. But what Parashara is saying is that even though Saturn is a malefic, but because it is owning a Kendra, that is the fourth house, it is not such a bad malefic. It won't give you such bad results. Yeah? You understand that? Simple, yeah? Okay. Now let's move to, like, let's say a Gemini Lagna. Is that Gemini? No. Let's move to a Gemini Lagna. Okay. Where are the Lagnas when you need them? Okay, sorry guys. Okay, here is Gemini Lagna, right? For a Gemini Lagna, the seventh house is Jupiter, right? As
Yes.
well as the 10th house, yes?
Yes.
So now
Yeah.
you would say that, that Jupiter should give very good results, but it will not always give you good results because Jupiter will act as a problematic planet, yeah? Because the Kendras is ruled by a benefic. So for a Gemini, because the Kendras are ruled by a benefic, Yeah, Mercury, the other Kendra, 7th house is Jupiter, 10th house is Jupiter. So Jupiter will not always give you auspicious results. It's actually going to give you a problem.
Okay, so maybe, or is this like a rule? Like
No,
the
it
last,
is a rule. It is a rule.
okay.
Okay, it's
And
not
so
maybe.
so the last the thing we just looked at, the Saturn in the 4th house, that was also, then it's definitely not so bad, or is it maybe not so bad?
It may be not giving terrible results is what
Maybe.
Parashara is saying. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So will not remain inauspicious, but that doesn't mean that it is not, it is going to be like super auspicious. It doesn't mean that either. Okay. So you have
Okay.
to kind of be a little bit careful with yogas. You know, you have to examine many charts too, but that is the basic, that the benefits owning Kendras will not give benefic effects.
In the contrary, they will give,
Automatically. It
so
will not give you benefic effects automatically.
yeah, but will they give trouble then automatically,
Ah,
or
yes,
We'll have to
sometimes
see
they
the
will even give
association.
you problems.
Yes.
Okay.
okay?
And I will, but that is a different thing. If you, I don't know if you guys attended there are recordings available of the ascendants, the secrets of the ascendants, where I've clearly said that the concept of badhak, that is, let's say for Gemini lagna, the 7th house, like for dual lagnas, the 7th house or the 7th lord is a badhak. That is, it's an obstacle creator, right? So if we combine that concept with this concept and merge them, then we will know that, for example, Gemini lagna, Jupiter will give them problems.
Mhm.
It will not always be benefic. So to make an assumption that, wow, for example, I know a lot of Gemini lagnas, they've got Jupiter in the 10th house in Pisces. That's a Hamsa Mahapurush yoga. Yeah. Fantastic. But is it always going to give them very good results? No. Some of them even struggle. So this is a very core concept you have to understand. So for example, for a Gemini lagna, if Jupiter is in the 10th house in its own sign in Pisces, and I know quite a few of them, and they struggle in their career. They keep changing one job to another. They are like, you would think like, wow, a Jupiter in the 10th house, fantastic in its own sign, but they are struggling. Why? Because of this. That is one. And the second one is because Jupiter for dual lagnas, the 7th lord will become a badhak. That means it will create obstacles. So Gemini lagna, the 7th house is Sagittarius, lord is Jupiter, which is a benefic, even though it is placed in the 10th house in Pisces, will create obstacles for them. So is everybody clear on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So now, is it
Yeah.
going to be the same as if you're Sagittarius lagna with Mercury in the 10?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. So do not, so this is, I have just added the other dimension of Badhak, but if you just take this principle alone, it will not automatically give you benefit. So don't get excited when you see a chart and see Jupiter, wow, own sign, fantastic. No, Lord Ram had Jupiter in Lagna, exalted Jupiter in Cancer in Lagna. Did he have an exciting time? Did everything come easy to him? he had to, if you read the Ramayana, which is one of the classic epics. I mean, he had to fight all the demons. I mean, there was huge problems, right? So you have to tread very carefully on the core principle here and understand it at a very deep level. And the Kendras, while the malefics which own the Kendras will not remain inauspicious, that doesn't mean that they will give you auspicious results. But that also doesn't mean that they will give you trouble. They may not give you trouble, you know. If they are in a trine house, won't give you a trouble. If they are on your lagna, like, for example, as we just saw the chart of the Libra lagna, right? For Libra lagna, the 4th house is Capricorn, the 5th house is Aquarius. So Saturn becomes a big Yogakaraka for them, very strong Yogakaraka, because he's ruling very benefic houses, the trine house as well as the 4th house, the Kendra house. And remember the classic dictum which I did ages ago, that the Kendras is Vishnu Sthan and the Lakshmi Sthan is the 5th and the 9th. And the 1st house is a Kona as well as a Kendra. That is a classic principle. Yeah. Always remember that. Never forget that the Lord of the Lagna is always going to be auspicious. He may be neutral, but he's not going to be malefic. Okay. That's number 1. And number 2, the Lagna is a Kona, that is, it's a trine house because 1, 5, and 9, as well as it's a Kendra 1, 4, 7, and 10. Yeah. Is everybody getting this very simple concept? It's simple, but it's fairly complex in its execution. But you have to understand it. Yeah.
So for example, Mars in as a Scorpio Lagna is giving auspicious results. Do I understand that right?
See, okay, now when we come to the dual lagnas, then the story changes a little, but yes, indeed, if Mars is in lagna, you mean for Scorpio lagna, if Mars is in lagna?
Yeah, like, because it says the Lord of Lagna is specially auspicious.
Yeah.
Okay, but it should be a Kendra or a Kona. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because remember the example you gave for Scorpio, which is the other house Mars rules.
Yeah, then it's in a Kendra and a Kona, and thus it is auspicious.
Yes, but what the planet also needs to rule a Kendra or a Kona. What does Mars rule for a Scorpio Lagna? Which other house does it rule?
The 6th.
Yes, and is 6th an auspicious house? Is it a Kendra or a Kona?
No.
So it may not. So Mars will not always be beneficial for a Scorpio Lagna.
Okay.
You
so
see?
only sometimes.
Yeah. But if you see for like Libra Lagna, Saturn is superb because the 2 main houses of Saturn are, Saturn owns 2 great, fantastic houses, the Lakshmi Sthan and the Vishnu Sthan, which is the 4th and the 5th house. So Saturn is an absolute 100% Raj Yoga Karaka, or the Raj Yoga it will give you.
Okay.
So now, may I ask you something about Saturn as a Yoga Karaka? Because I mean, Yoga Karaka is an auspicious planet, but Saturn is Saturn. So despite being Yoga Karaka, would Saturn probably bring about the result of a 4th and the 5th house, but through hardship, suffering. You know, this is kind of interpretation I have. I don't know if it's correct.
Okay, Saturn is going to give you brilliant results for Taurus as well as for Libra. Absolutely. There is no doubt he is a Yogakaraka of a very highest order. Absolutely. But yes, you're right. If Saturn, end of the day, is Saturn, it's Shani. He's the Karaka for Dukkha, that is sorrow. He's the Karaka for pain and sorrow. Yes, he is the Karaka for that. So he will give you some trouble or the other. He's not going to, it'll all be like walk in the park always. No. So you are right. But still, if you think about it, if you just expand your thinking a little bit and say, well, okay, but compare that to somebody with, like, let's say a Sagittarius Lagna, where Saturn is rules not very nice house, the second house, which is a Maraka, So then it's a disaster. So for that, Saturn will always trouble him for a Sagittarius compared to Libra Lagna, where he will not have troubles. But that doesn't mean that you're above the law and, you are not going to find any sorrow in your life. There's going to be no, no suffering, no pain. That's impossible. Yeah.
Even if, like, for example, in Amaji case, Saturn is also exalted. But I think, from her biography, that she had a lot of hardship.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
Especially, that's why I was asking you.
Absolutely, you're right.
The flavor of Saturn.
Of course, but we can never take away the flavor of Saturn. But it is like, it's like damage control. Think of damage control, right? Some things, because some planets, even though they are inherently malefic, but they will invariably give you good, do you good. So even if you suffer, you will suffer like, ouch, little bit, and then it's over.
Yeah.
So it won't be that harsh suffering of Saturn. You
Could be,
understand?
and also, probably you have, you have to work hard to get things, or
Of
things
course.
can get delayed.
Of course.
The result can get delayed, probably. Yeah.
Absolutely. And think about Ammachi, which is a hugging saint.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people she has hugged in her lifetime? Million more, like God knows. I think people have lost probably count. How many? That is no mean task. I can't do it, Can you do it?
Also, yes, strong drive, strong discipline.
Exactly. So that is Saturn. She's got Saturn exalted in her Lagna. So you see, you have to understand this at a very it's very refined concept here. This is not like, oh, this is a malefic, let's put him in a box and do away with it. No, even though the Kendras are, if they are ruled by, if they are ruled by a malefic planet, but yet they won't entirely give you trouble. And sometimes they may even give you absolutely brilliant results. And mostly they will give you, if they are a Yogakaraka for you, they will give you fantastic results. But you cannot, end of the day, they will give you little bit of sorrow, but that sorrow will be not that bad, they're not something that you can't deal with, It's not a sorrow that you will crumble and fall compared to the rest of the people, where they will have big problems. And for Libra Lagna, their sorrow is not going to come from Saturn, that's for sure. Their problems will come from Mars, the 7th house. That's their big badhak, that's their problem. Yeah, that's their big dosha. Okay, guys, we need to finish. It's 7 o'clock. Is it interesting or what?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
I have another question, but I keep it for the Telegram.
No, go on. We have one
No,
more.
I mean,
Any-
I don't know if it's, for example, in the case of Amachi, Saturn is exalted in ascendant.
yeah.
So if, for example, this Saturn becomes debilitated and in the 8th house, it would be something completely different. It would be, I mean, the dose of sorrow and hardship would be stronger because of the nature of the 8th house and the debilitation.
Yeah, that is true, but it still will not.
Logically, I don't know if you can
Oh,
use
yeah.
only by logic, it should be, but logic is not enough.
Yes, but having said that, if you examine Taurus Lagna, right? If you think of Taurus Lagna, Saturn rules which planet? Absolutely brilliant. Saturn rules which houses?
So Toro, let me think. Yeah, I don't have visually in my mind. I
The
have to
10th
count.
house, the very
That-
auspicious 10th
Right.
house, right? Saturn rules
Yeah.
the 10th house because the 10th house is Aquarius, and the 9th house. Yes.
Okay, yeah, very auspicious houses.
So it rules the great karma dharmadipati yoga, which can create that, which can give you that with the Saturn and Rahu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So even though Saturn is, let's say, for a Taurus Lagna, Saturn is in the 12th house in Aries. So Saturn is
Exactly.
in its debility, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So by your logic, the person should suffer, should have a lot of problems, should everything. Well, actually, not all of them suffer. And actually, Saturn in the 12th house is actually pretty good for a Taurus Lagna.
Mm.
So you see, we have to figure out, we have to evaluate
That's why. Okay.
on
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very, even though the Saturn is debilitated, but it will give good results.
Mm. Okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
Sona.
because
Thank
there
you
are
very
many,
much.
there are many exceptions. There are many
Yeah.
things we have to see, you know,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
because
Thank
you
you.
see, when we did the particular module last time, I think last couple of months ago we did, remember we did the 10th lord, what Parashara says
Yeah.
about the 10th lord in the 12th house. That's a fantastic result, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
then if you combine it with that, for a Taurus Lagna, even though Shani is debilitated in 12th house, it will still give very good results.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So anyway, so yeah, we end here.
Thank you very much.
Any questions, guys?
No.
Sonal,
Yeah.
can I ask you a quick question? For instance, for the Capricorn Lagna, is if Saturn is exalted in the 10th house and it is together with Venus, does it give a mixed result or?
That's the Lagna Lord in the 10th house, right?
Yes, it is exalted.
Sorry, yeah, Lagna Lord in the 10th, yeah.
Yes, it is exalted in Libra and it is together with Venus.
Well,
Very
that's
nice.
very good though, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
Very good.
You know, I doubt really.
Really?
I have
Why?
doubt. Yes, because I believe that still it gives some hurdles actually and restrictions as well. Because Saturn
Well,
is still
Venus
Saturn.
is in Venus doesn't have as a zero Digbala, probably
Yeah.
Yes.
by his own house.
Very
So, you know,
clever. Absolutely, Margarita. You said it. See, Oksana, very good question. Absolutely. Venus is in zero Digbal. So that can create one of the biggest problems there. Because when planets are in zero Digbal, it's a big problem. Okay. That's
Okay.
number one. Number two, it is a Siddhi yoga. Siddhi yoga means you will have a big, vast, in-depth knowledge of one big topic, which that's called the Siddhi yoga. So Lagna Lord in the 10th house, exalted. And if I'm not mistaken, I know somebody who has it, Jiddu Krishnamurti had it. We'll examine his chart next time, okay?
Actually,
Oksana?
yes, but actually this is my case. That's why I have doubts. Yeah, but actually Margarita has given a good reason that Venus is not in Digbao. Yes, but okay, thank you.
But still, end of the day,
Yeah.
it will still give you good results, though.
Okay.
You know, you have to just, I think, get over. See, zero Digbal doesn't mean you will keep suffering ad infinitum. It doesn't mean like that. You know, zero, but it will give you, at one instance in your life, it will give you a big problem.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah. Why don't you put up your chart next time on
can
in
do
the
it.
Telegram group?
I can do it right now. So
Yes, absolutely. And then we can have a discussion. But the only thing is, guys, that I work, oops, sorry. Hello?
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
we
Yeah.
hear.
Sorry.
Yeah, we still hear.
I work